Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the U.S. Bill of Rights. Stand warned. You know, I don't want to run dungeons anymore. I'm afraid to. I'm afraid to run dungeons, especially when I've been drinking. Because I don't want to get in with that. You know, in order to get in with that cool crowd on World of Warcraft, you got to know how to spec. Because you can run those dungeons and somebody would be like, hey, why are you queuing as a healer when you have that spec? You should be spec this way. And, you know, what's the point? What's the point in making a character if you can't make them your way? It's like, yeah, I'm a healer, but I'm sorry I'm not the healer you want me to be. I don't know. I guess I'll never be cool like those World of Warcraft kids. Hello and welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. Welcome. We're having some mic issues. I wonder how we sound.
Sounds good so far.
Sounds good so far? Okay.
We've not tried to use that mic yet.
Yeah, well, see, as you can see, I'm in my niece's bedroom. We had a bet. She knows I hate this room because of all the My Little Ponies. She knows I'm terrified of horses. That's why she collects them. And so we're doing it live from her room today. And so the bet is I couldn't stay an hour in this room. And I said, I get to pick the hour. And I get to bring anything I want with me, right? So I brought a friend. And it's a computer gear. Sorry, the microphone, we couldn't get that to work properly. But hey, we're pretty mobile. We can go anywhere we want and do this show, I'm telling you. So it looks like she's going to end up baking those cookies after all. Yeah, I want to remind you, I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron. I would appreciate that very much. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. You can follow me on social media over there. Hey, have you ever been to that Burger King that's over there on 208 in Harrison? That intersection where it has the McDonald's, the Burger King, Taco Bell. There's a Burger King over there. There's a guy that's always there. He's been there for decades, like 2 decades.
Oh, yeah.
The chipper guy.
Michael.
Michael is his name? Look, shout out to him and that Burger King. He's been there for a while. I remember buying burgers from him when I was a kid, you know? And every single time, I went there the other day, and every single time I've been there and he was there, I had a very pleasant interaction. He's always like, I'm sitting there like, look, man, I don't want any onions or pickles or tomatoes on my burger. And I want you to pick the sesame seeds off the bun. And he's like, that sounds delicious. We can absolutely do that for you. Why don't you come around to the first window? And you'll hand him the money, and he's like, oh, how are you doing today, sir? It's such a lovely day, isn't it? You're like, yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he's like, and as you're leaving, he's handing you, here's your food. And it's like, here's your receipt, sir. I hope you have a wonderful day and come and see us again. It's like, and you can't help but answer that. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for the service that I don't know, it used to be pretty common, you know? It used to be pretty common. But here I am saying, like, I hope that guy owns a piece of that franchise. I hope that guy is part owner of that Burger King. At the very least, if he doesn't own it outright, you know, just himself. Because he is what makes that experience to Burger King. And so often you go to these places and service you get. I mean, I guess it's kind of different in like sit-down restaurants, like when you go to Chili's or something like that. They tell the wait staff to be upbeat, you know, interact with the customers at a shallow level, and, you know, be pleasant. You know, that helps your tips and so forth. But that guy isn't getting any tips. He's just doing his job with zeal and caring about it. And I hope that he gets the highest paycheck out of anyone in there, because he is what makes that experience great for me. Plus, you know, it's Burger King food. You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of people, who work at these places, they say, hey, man, it's just a McDonald's cheeseburger. How happy do you want me to be about working at McDonald's? It's like, I don't know. It's like there's pride in your job, no matter what that job is. Even if you think that job is a lowly job, you distinguish yourself at a lowly job when you're like Michael. And I think people, I don't know, it's kind of a lost art these days, and I miss it. So every now and then, I want to feel like there are still people in the world, and I have to go choke down some of their disgusting fries and their mediocre onion rings. Because that's the reason I don't go to Burger King often. The fries are meh, and the onion rings are just okay. But the burgers are pretty good. They're better than McDonald's burgers, anyway. But I go for Michael. We're not having the burgers without Michael. You got all those pictures up from the AI? The horse AI? I don't know. This is kind of like a summoning ritual. I'm going to start talking about the dangers of horses and AI in the sanctuary of My Little Ponies. She was like, if I lose the bet, I have to buy her a Christmas gift, My Little Pony Christmas gift, because we got in an argument over it. You are never going to get a gift of a horse from me, of any kind. I love you, and that's why. So, we were playing a role-playing game. We were talking about AI. EK and I were talking about AI. And I was just, in passing, I was like, I don't really want to mess with AI, because I would be like, AI, write me a program that accesses every single public camera in the United States and track the movement of horses, of all horses within the United States. I'd be doing stuff like that. AI, develop me a mRNA vaccine tracker that we can use as inject into horses, so we can track them digitally all throughout the United States. And as I'm going off on one of my AI horse rants, which happens a lot, like you guys only catch like 10% of my horse rants, but EK starts typing stuff into his AI. It starts coming up with some interesting, images. I don't know if he's going to bring up any.
Give me a second.
Yeah, I'm working on something else.
Do you remember which service I searched them on?
I think it was the one that you said was down, or whichever one you used for the game.
Okay, the one that was down. Okay, let me look.
I don't know if you can still access it.
Yeah, I'm on the one that was down right now.
Okay,
it's back up. I just gotta find the chat history.
Yeah,
I found the one where I asked for the statistics. I've got that one.
See, and it came up with crazy stuff. I don't really mess with AI. I don't want to. EK loves it, swears by it. I think if you've seen my Donald Duck's dishonorable discharge, you know why. Because writing fiction, that's my bag, and I can outdo any computer. But when it comes to horses and AI, I was surprised at some of the information I was getting back. Even at home later that night, I went to Chat GPT, started asking it some questions, like how many people are injured by horses every year. It looks like the number they spit out was 60,000 people. EK looked it up not too long ago, so 65 to 70,000 people every year are treated in emergency rooms for some horse-related thingamabob getting hurt. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. A lot of head injuries, a lot of falling off of horses. You shouldn't be riding them. You shouldn't be riding them. Are you out of your mind? Yeah, I tried to put G.I. Joes on My Little Ponies when I was a kid, and they would fall off all the time. And they're lucky they're plastic, because that would hurt real people. Could you imagine if you're like Christopher Reeve and you fell off of My Little Pony and died? Or would it be worse if it was a unicorn, if Christopher Reeve was riding a unicorn, and you're like, oh, that's an unlucky unicorn? I don't know.
Okay, I found more graphics.
I don't know if you guys think about this as much as I do, or why you don't. Because you should be thinking about it, because a lot of people get hurt by horses. A good thing about what we found out is stuff about where horses are in the United States. Most of them are in the West. So I don't ever want to go out there. Wyoming. I think the big states were like Nevada, Wyoming. That's where most of the horses are. And so you got to stay away from it. And I also found out, about 100 to 200 people die every year because of horses. Don't be a statistic.
There's the one I was looking for. Got it.
You're looking for one specific one?
Yeah.
All right. It's hard to bring up. It was like Wi-Fi here isn't the same as back at the studio. Anyway. Time's ticking on that hour.
Listen, I'm working on getting you some quality information here.
You see one of them move?
Some equestrian infographics.
Did one of them move?
Did one of the horses move?
One of them moved.
Maybe. What did you do? What did you do? All right, here you go. Here's the first image. This is some historical information. Horses and mules in the United States.
All right. Yeah. Mules count. Mules count, just like zebras count and unicorns count. Look at that. Oh, my God, that's terrifying. The number's just growing and growing and growing.
Let me just clarify this,
yeah,
too.
Look at that. Well, I guess they stabled off there when the automobile was invented. Okay, that's good. That's good. So we're culling the population somehow. You suppose we're doing that through breeding?
Hold on. That's only to 1920.
Okay.
I don't know if you noticed that. That's only to 1920.
Oh, okay. You got more info?
Where is this one? It's 27.3 thousand. Is that what that is?
Horses and mules in the millions. 27.3 million.
And that's just... Okay. Now let's go on to the wild horses.
It's such a romantic song. I almost said Aerosmith. Rolling Stone. Yeah. The Bureau of Land Management. Don't get it twisted. Wild Horse and Burro Program. Congress directed the Bureau of Land Management and the U.S. Forest Service 71 to manage and protect America's wild horses and burros, part of the thriving natural ecological balance on public land. Since receiving federal protection, 25,000 horses, wild horses. 27,000 wild horses and burros can live in balance with wildlife and livestock, healthy and public levels. 82,000 wild horses and burros live on public lands in 2016. Is our day 18.
Here, let's pull this information up right here.
That's insane, dude. Why are there so much more? And they're catching wild horses, adopting them, breaking them, and stuff like that.
There's an adoption and sales program.
Can you explain this to me? Because you understand this business stuff more. 46,000. What's this behind me? 32 million goes towards retaining costs, and 49 million goes towards ranging off range. And this is federal money, right?
Bureau of Land Management.
Why aren't you just shooting the horses? Bullets are cheaper than this. Shoot the horses, shoot the donkeys, shoot the burros, whatever you call them. This is insane.
Here's another great piece of information here. This is the...
Hey, Trump, start trimming the fat there. Why are we spending all this money on the most evil creatures on the planet? All right, this is like wild horses and burros by states, particularly in Nevada. Nevada kind of makes sense because, Sin City. But look at the difference, though. Way more in Nevada than anywhere else. See, this is what I'm talking about. And where's, Roswell? Where's that?
Roswell, right in the middle of New Mexico.
Never mind. And then there are there's tons of Air Force bases out there in Nevada. You know what I'm saying? What are they doing with the horses?
Oh, here's one that I think you're really gonna like.
The numbers are terrifying. I do not want to go west of the Mississippi. That's all there's to it. Look how dangerous it is out there. How many horses?
Here's one I think you're really gonna like.
Okay, hit me with it.
Boom.
Oh my God. Oh my God. See, my instincts to stay out of the Middle East and China must be genetic. But America's just way more. North America is way more. Oh my.
It's the most.
I'm living in the most dangerous country in the land, in the world. Which is not true. It's simply not true. Horses are not more threatening than people. Let's be honest here. Oh my Lord. You'd think it'd be more in Africa. No. It's a lot of land in Africa. It looks small by the map, but it is incredibly huge. And Asia is just incredibly huge too. People just don't understand the scope of the world and how maps work because this is a flat surface depicting a circular thing. This is scaring me. There's too much red in that.
A lot of red.
Yeah.
Well, the red induces fear. I felt like it was the appropriate.
Yeah. I'm getting scared. And this is what I'm talking about. It's like AI is backing up my point. And this is, and I don't want, please, I'm having a hard enough time not trusting these things behind me. All right. So, where was I?
Sorry. I scared you with the horse.
Yes, I'm derailed now. You know, we live in this world. There's horses everywhere. Try to remember my point. Damn it! Damn you and that horse. They're so terrifying. We live and we expect them not to do nothing. You know, so I don't like the fact that AI is on my side and is backing up my points about horses because I don't want to trust AI. And I think that AI is trying to seduce me into being his friend. Look, yeah, I got your back on the horses thing, bro. Yeah, totally. They're evil. I feel like AI would be all about that. That's why I don't want to mess with AI because I don't know. You can probably get a supervillain by way of AI. All right. And so it wouldn't surprise me if it happened one day. And so I don't trust AI. And I'll tell you honestly, I was driving by a farm last week, and I saw a bunch of cattle that were laying down, and there's a horse standing next to them, and all the cows were looking at the horse. And I almost stopped the car and say, break it up. You know, what are those horses up to? See, now cows are getting suspect for me. Was the horse teaching the cows something? I don't know. It looked like, come around, children, gather, have a seat. I'm going to tell you a story about how evil humanity is and how we can work together to destroy them. You know, I felt like there were two gangs making an alliance in a prison. So now even cows are suspect. So like I said, you know, I'm going to be on top of this situation. I'm going to bring you all the top horse conspiracy information because we got to put a stop to this. We got to stop telling little girls it's okay to play with horses. I want to ride it. They fall off. They're in a chair the rest of their life. Horses aren't okay. You don't play with horses. You should kill them.
Oh, Jesus.
What?
Kill the horses.
Come on. No show next week. We got Thanksgiving coming up. I'm trying to have fun.
Specieside is not fun.
Before I get a haircut, and I'm probably going to lose the sideburns too, make me look old. Well, you are old. All right. You want to get into some more fun stuff? We're going to do some movie reviews.
It didn't move.
Something went under the bed, man. I swear. $32 minutes. Okay. Start with Honest Thief. This movie kind of reminded me of the series My Name is Earl, where it's the trick where they instantly makes a bad character like endearing. It's like, I'm going to try to turn my life around. I'm going to make good and so forth. And you're instantly supposed to be like, oh, okay, I like this guy. I like him. And it's interesting because it also has a really good meet cute scene with the lady here in this movie. I forget her name. This actress. She's been in a bunch of stuff.
I can't remember her name.
She's one of those. She's just like a solid 6.5, you know. And Liam Neeson's this thief who is like known as the In and Out Bandit, and he hates the name. And he's getting this storage unit, and they have this little meet cute, and it is a cute meeting that's cute. And so you got my cue and your meat, and so long story short, they fall in love and keep the girls interested, and he calls up the FBI and he's like, I want to turn myself in. And the FBI is like, oh, okay, In and Out Bandit, why do you want to turn yourself in? It's like, well, I met a woman, I fell in love, and I want to do the right thing, but I can't do that with my past hanging over my head as this thief. And so he starts negotiating about I'll turn myself in, but I'll give back some of the money or a large portion of the money in order to buy time off my sentence and hopefully get a light to medium security prison so I can have a conjugal visit or two. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how ethical he is. You're still a thief, buddy. But it makes him an endearing character. Like, he fell in love with this woman, and he wants to turn over a new leaf and do right by her by becoming an honest man and serving his debt to society. But the FBI is suspicious because the guy knows way too many details. And so the FBI calls down to the city they're in and has sent some local cops over. Now, these local cops are corrupt, and so they I think they were talking to him. And they end up stealing the money he was planning to give over when he turned himself in, and then tell him where the rest of it is later. But as the FBI agent, who is the T100 Cyberdyne Systems T1000 unit, what's his name? Robert Patterson or something like that. The guy who played the T1000. He's the FBI agent. He comes down, and these corrupt cops shoot him and try to take the money for themselves. The local cops are corrupt, and they kill the FBI agent, and they tell the FBI that he killed them, that Liam Neeson killed him. And so I was trying to do the right thing, but you guys had to be corrupt. And so, which is interesting because the local cops generally are not as corrupt as federal agents are. Anyway, just want to put that out there. There's also like a secondary plot thread where the burn notice guy is the other FBI agent, and at the beginning of the movie, he's end up like going through a breakup with I think a wife girlfriend or something like that, and they're getting an argument into stuff, and it's like what she's taking all this, and he's like, I'm fine, all I need is the dog. So he takes the dog, that causes a big fight. So he arrives back at the FBI office with this cute little dog that's obviously hers, and he's just like, this is all I'm taking away from this relationship. And he's obviously in a bad mood, just got dumped and so forth, and all he got was this silly-looking dog. But everyone loves the dog, and he's taking it with him everywhere. And it's almost like this belief in love, you know? The dog is a representation of what he really believes about love. It's like there's something, special there, and like it means something. And so he finds out Liam Neeson's story where he wants to do the right thing. He wants to turn the money. He wants to serve his debt to society, all for the sake of love. And so the burn notice guy, forget his name. Forgive me for not doing you guys justice, not remembering names. But the burn notice guy, he says, he kind of gets it. He gets it, and he can kind of look the other way on a couple things. And I thought that made for a very, very good story. Very, very good movie. I really love it's funny. It's like there's a lot of aspects to movies that are thrown in for the female factor that I end up liking too. I like the fact that a guy wants to turn over a new leaf because he believes in love. That's a very positive thing, like open way to think about love. It's like, it's the same thing with the dog, because everywhere the FBI agent goes, everyone's like, oh, what a cute doggy. And he's just like, and every time people mention he's thinking about the relationship that just ended, but he has that cute little dog that makes girls come around. So yeah, Honest Thief 2020, 11 of 13 stars. Like I said, the feds are usually more corrupt. And plus, I think Liam Neeson could pull a hotter chick. No offense to the actress, but I think he can do better than that. Anyway, DK go to the bathroom, or is he making lunch?
Oh, right here.
Lunchtime.
Did you say how many stars?
11 of 13 stars. I already forgot. Hey, you got it up. All right. Those stars look like they belong in this room.
They do.
Anyway. All right, let's talk about Grumpy Old Men, 1993 movie. I saw this again the other day. Rip Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon. They died about like 7-8 years later after this movie. They did a sequel. You could say that Grumpy Old Men is a Christmas movie, but you can't say the sequel is, because the sequel happens in summer. And so I watched them both. So respect to those guys, because, they don't make movies like this anymore. It's a Christmas movie, just like Die Hard. And this is a story about how men talk to each other. And a lot of people have forgotten this. There's plenty of people who are on TikTok these days who don't understand how men will just getting these insult contests. They walk out of their house every morning and they're like, "Morning, dickhead," like Walter Matthau in that movie. You know what I'm saying? And they're just bickering back and forth all day long. And it's hard for some people to understand that these people are friends, even if they think in their own heads that they're enemies. They're friends, and that's why they have an important scene later in the movie where Walter Matthau's at the hospital, and he's like, "Are you family or friend?" He's like, "Huh? Are you family or friend?" But he wants to see him, and he's like, I'm a friend. And he has to acknowledge it. It's the idea of frenemies. A lot of, I guess, women don't understand that, this is a lot of how men interact with each other. They may get a person you fought the most in your life could probably be your best friend. It's like, this is hey, how you doing? This is my best friend. This is Joe, my best friend. This is Tanya. It's like, how how many times I fought this guy? How many times we fight? 86 times we fought. And then he walked out, "I got to go to the bathroom, be right back." And she's like, "Why is he your best friend if you fought him that many times?" It's like, we're best friends. That's what best friends sometimes do. We've argued, right, Eric?
Oh, yeah.
Like every other week.
Lots of times.
Lots of times. Men bicker. And some people can't handle it. It's like, "Oh, we got to talk nice to everybody all the time." It's like, no. Men will insult you to your face and turn around and say, "Oh, you're the best guy ever." It's like, "He's my best friend." You know what I mean? Reverse that. And that's women. Speaking of women, the Anne Margaret thing. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie. And Anne Margaret, back in 93? Would. And it's something that I didn't notice as I was a kid. When I was a kid, and I saw it because 93, I was obviously a kid when this first came out. I was all about Daryl Hannah. I was like, "Whew, Daryl Hannah looks good in this movie," and she does. She does look very good in this movie. And at the same time, I was young and naive enough to think, hey, if the weird brownie from Willow can hook up with Daryl Hannah, a girl like Daryl Hannah, why couldn't I? And no, a guy like Kevin Pollak can never hook up with Daryl Hannah. Anyway, so I mean, it's interesting, watching this movie a few years later. When your tastes in women have changed, and you start to understand the whole Anne Margaret competition. It's like this weird hippie chick moves in across the street, but everyone's talking about her. Nobody can keep their eyes off her, and these two men have this competitive rivalry over. They have rivalries over everything, from fishing to everything, to even women. And that's what this movie is about. It's a comedy of errors of these guys being guys in competition. All right. But when, like I said, there's a scene in the hospital. Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon Gustafson had a heart issue. When the chips are down, these men are friends. And that's the point of the movie, is that even though men talk to each other like that, they're still friends. I don't know. It's hard for some people to understand. It's like, sometimes you're friends with a guy because he has the best insults. You thought you had the best insults of all the people you knew. Then you run into this other guy who has way better insults than you. You're like, "I'm hanging out with you for the rest of my life. You're the best. I need to sharpen my game." And you're the kind of guy to do it. So, Grumpy Old Men, 1993, 12 of 13 stars. It's an excellent comedy that keeps earning stars the older I get. However, it's sad. I couldn't give it all the way to 13 because it's sad that there's no Walter Matthau or Jack Lemmon around anymore, who are veterans, old school veterans. And that's how they grew up every day. It's like back when they were making this movie, Walter Matthau is like, "Okay, I know that I come out here and say, 'Morning, dickhead.'" It's not like Walter Matthau said, "That doesn't seem very nice to say to my friend." He's like, "Oh, come out and say, 'Good morning, dickhead.'" That's how friends talk to each other. And that's completely normal. You know what I mean? It's like that Bill Burr joke when he goes, I was finishing mowing this lawn, And this guy comes out with a 38. He's like, I got this 38. You want to go down to the end of the driveway and like there's a burnout car down there. Let's shoot off some shots. And then he stops and he looks at the crowd. Down in the South is the only place I told that joke where nobody's responding at this point. All right. Everywhere else I tell this joke, people are like, oh my God, a guy came out of the house with a gun and told you, let's go down and shoot some rounds. But here in the South, they're just like, okay, yeah, you got done mowing the lawn. Guy came out with a gun and said, let's go down and shoot some shots at the burnout car. Yep, it's a normal day. Anyway, I forgot my point. Let's get into the news worth knowing. These damn ponies throwing me off today. Look, seriously, that one is in a different location.
I don't think so.
That one, 15 more minutes, maybe? When we actually get in the room. From when we actually got in the room. Anyway. Let's get to this first story. Biden makes another Ukraine policy shift with approval of sending anti-personnel mines. I wanted to like him. I wanted to say, hey, man, the way he was grinning ear to ear when Trump got in office, I was like, hey, man, I would love for him to get out of office and say, yeah, the Democrat Party screwed me over hardcore. But he's still their little monkey. He's doing what they tell him to do. So Biden approved sending anti-personnel mines into Ukraine late Tuesday as a reversal of policy and yet another escalation in the conflict with Russia ahead of President-elect Trump's inauguration. Ukrainian officials have reportedly promised to only deploy the mines in Ukrainian territory and away from major population centers. U.S. has previously withheld anti-personnel mines because of their tendency to outlast conflicts once deployed and cause injury to innocents. I don't like mines as weapons of war because of what they said. They outlast conflicts, and kids playing in a field will get blown up. I do not like mines. I do not understand why NATO approves them, or the UN even. Yeah, I know you say you like NATO or the UN. No, I don't. But if they're going to be doing stuff, that's the stuff they should be doing. It's like I don't like mines, and I certainly don't like when American mines get sent to somebody else's war. Anyway, so the U.S. has reportedly taken precautions to prevent injuries, however. Mines are being delivered to Ukraine to operate on an electric fuse that relies on a battery. So when the battery runs out, after hours or weeks, it is then inoperative, according to CBS News. Still, do not like mines. Doesn't mean a lightning bolt. Somebody's standing on it and a lightning bolt hits them. I guess that's possible. I'm sorry to laugh about people being blown up by mines, but you got to laugh to keep from crying. The approval of the Biden administration came the same day as Ukraine used American-made missiles, ATACMs, in a strike on Russian soil. Biden had prohibited such uses until last week. Allies of the President-elect Trump have blasted the Biden administration for approving Ukraine's escalation of its conflict with Russia in the final months before Trump takes office. Quote, the military-industrial complex seems to want to make sure they get World War III going before my father has had a chance to create peace and save lives, said Donald Trump Jr. on social media after the long-range missile approval. Got to lock in those trillions. Life be damned, imbeciles. Well, that about sums it up. They want the war machine to keep moving. They want it impossible for Trump they want to escalate it so that it makes it harder for him to back out of all this. Because Russia is going to exploit it. And they're going to say, hey, you're America. We're just dealing with America. I don't care who's in charge of your country. You're sending weapons to our enemy. And that could lead to a larger war. These people are dying. I mean, these are all the people with like the Ukrainian flags on their profiles. Sending mines to the war. Escalating America's involvement in this war. Because Trump has promised to end the wars. Do you know how immoral that is? That is globally immoral. And I think you deserve worse punishment than anything that we do to like a murderer, because you're talking about hundreds of murders, if not thousands, or even bigger numbers, for instigating a larger war. I can't believe I'm like an anti-war hippie. People are like, you're right wing. All right, let's do a little tiny how to man up segment here in the middle of the news. So Speaker Johnson makes clarification after a statement regarding transgender House member. House Speaker Mike Johnson made a clarification on Tuesday after previously declining to answer a reporter's question on whether transgender Rep-elect Sarah McBride, Democrat from Delaware, is a man or a woman. Quote, I just want to make a statement for all of you here to be clear. I was asked a question this morning at the leadership gaggle, and I rejected the premise because the answer is so obvious, Johnson told reporters in the Capitol Tuesday afternoon. For anybody who doesn't know my well-established record on this issue, let me be unequivocally clear. A man is a man, and a woman is a woman, and a man cannot become a woman. That said, I also believe that that's what Scripture teaches. What I just said, but I also believe that we treat everybody with dignity so we can do and believe all those things at the same time. And I wanted to make it clear for everybody because there are a lot of questions, but that's where I stand. I've stood there my whole life, and those are the facts. At the House GOP weekly press conference earlier Tuesday, a reporter asked Johnson, is freshman-elect Sarah McBride a man or a woman? Quote, look, I'm not going to get into this. We welcomed all the new members with open arms who are duly elected representatives of the people. I believe it's a command that we treat all persons with dignity and respect, and we will. How to man up. Call a spade a spade. You know, obviously everyone knows your position on this. You've made it clear. But you haven't made it clear and say, that's a dude. And I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of everyone pretending that that is not true. Because we need to have an objective reality in order to operate a government. We've already spent way too much of the government's time going, what gender is that? We've wasted so much time with that. Virtual who's who of what's that, and that's what's taken up all the media's time and energy and conversations in government. It's a bunch of bullshit that has been going on for way too long. So you need to man up, Speaker Johnson. If this is going to be the Republican administration, you need to call a spade a spade. Say, that is a dude, and I'm not, I treat him with respect and everything like that, but you can't force me to call him a woman. And I'm going to say sir to him, because that is my right as an observer and a participant in objective reality. All right. Let's go on to another mess we got to clean up, the friggin' Democrats. So, Tren de Aragua is now operating in 16 states. Venezuelan migrant gang, Tren de Aragua, now operating in 16 states. The bloodthirsty Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua has been terrorizing neighborhoods across the country. Is now operating in 16 states, according to a new Homeland Security memo cited by the New York Post. The vicious gang has taken advantage of the lax southern border under the Biden-Harris administration, with many of its foot soldiers swarming in the U.S. and unleashing hell in unsuspecting communities. The gangs have been engaged in all sorts of violent crime, including murder, shootings of police officers, assaults, robberies, gun smuggling, and into migrant shelters. The gang is also said to be engaged in the obvious ones: drug dealing, sex trafficking of migrant women to New York City. Is that where a lot of them are going? I wonder where all the hot spots for buying people are. Probably places like New York. Probably those Democrat-run places. In some states, armed members of the gang have been, taken over apartment buildings. Yes, we covered that before. Fox and Friends, who cares about Fox and Friends? Okay, on Fox and Friends Friday, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Director David Roush warned about the surge of Tren de Aragua, human trafficking in Nashville, Memphis, Knoxville, and Chattanooga. Damn, that's not far. The gang has exploited the border. They go from human trafficking to organized retail crime theft. And they move into the drug trade, taking on the cartels in very violent, bloody battles. Lord. Like, so other criminal gangs are worried about these guys. Earlier this month, Homeland Security announced to add NAB-3 TDA, excuse me. They have a shorthand of it now. TDA gangbangers. I don't know if that's a gangbanger. I don't know if that's a word you should use in a news article. I don't know. It's almost an adverb. Two in Colorado and one in Mexico wanted for murder of the 29-year-old man in Texas. Days earlier, police arrested 3 suspects, a link to the gang, who were allegedly involved in the kidnapping of murder of a Texas man whose body was found in August. New York Post reports the gang is operating in the area that includes half of America's population. So, okay, New York City, Colorado, Texas. The gang has footholds in California, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Louisiana, Nevada, New Jersey, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Wisconsin. Most recently in Washington, D.C., Virginia, Montana, Wyoming, according to the report. Homeland Security memo titled "The Expansion of Tren de Aragua Across the United States presents challenges for law enforcement." States the gang has only increased its violent tendency as it spreads, according to a report. All right. Enough of this bummer. You know why Trump won? Because of this. Because they haven't done anything to stop stuff like this. You know, they had the border open, and they're like, well, we're not going to prosecute anybody anymore because prosecuting crimes against people who aren't white is racist. And that's the point. They'll throw the book at those white people in January 6th. But not those black people who rioted all during, the summer of love. They'll throw the book at Daniel Penny. We'll get to that. As a matter of fact, right now. It's the next story. So, Daniel Penny trial. Subway Madman claimed... stealing my name. Subway Madman claimed he heard Tupac and the Devil before deadly chokehold. Why are you writing it like that, Fox News? Michael Ruiz. It wasn't a deadly chokehold. Anyway. So this is from New York. The forensic scientist who Manhattan prosecutors sought to have barred from testifying at Daniel Penny's Subway chokehold trial, revealed on the witness stand Tuesday that Jordan Neely had been hospitalized for more than a dozen times for psychotic episodes and abusing synthetic marijuana before his death on a Manhattan train. Mental health breakdowns included delusions that the rapper Tupac Shakur was using him to change the world, that he heard the devil's voice, and said to Alexander Sasha Barty, the defense expert who reviewed thousands of pages of Neely's medical records going back to 2015. Why would you think they're two different people? If it's the devil, couldn't he look like Tupac? Even if it's not actually Tupac? So Penny was a 26-year-old Marine veteran, architecture student, was fighting charges of manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide in connection with 30-year-old Neely's death in May of last year. Barty, professor at NYU and New York Medical School, is an expert witness for the defense. Previously worked at Rikers Island, the same jail when Neely screamed about returning to before Penny put him in a chokehold when he started making death threats on a Manhattan subway car. Prosecutors unsuccessfully tried to have him blocked from testifying and have the evidence of Neely's mental illness and drug abuse withheld from the jury. Neely had a documented period of paranoid schizophrenia. Barty testified after reviewing thousands of pages of the man's medical records. The disorder impacts 1%. His symptoms I would classify as severe, he testified. He describes paranoid fears that people want to hurt him, grandiose delusions that people are jealous of him, and that Tupac instructed him to change the world, and that's what he was doing. He said Neely shared Tupac's claim with the hospital staff, on at least 2 occasions. In one instance, when asked to elaborate, he rambled about people changing their hair color and giving out free food. Medical records that Barty reviewed also revealed that Neely heard the devil's voice. Said Neely was illogical and disorganized, described his behavior as aggressive and bizarre. Schizophrenia patients can't tell the difference between their hallucinations and reality. Barty said delusions can be triggered by a number of factors, including drugs, drinks, and food. Yeah. So this article doesn't really talk about what this is really about. The guy was clearly crazy. But when you're acting the fool like that, I mean, it's okay to do a submission hold, which is what Daniel Penny did. All right. And when Daniel Penny released him, he was breathing. Even the police said that he was breathing. Neely was breathing. And so the city is trying to cover its ass and pin it all on Daniel Penny, the Jarhead. All right. But I got this Jarhead's back. All right. Because I think he is completely innocent. And the city is trying to cover up the fact that the police did not do life-saving efforts. They did not perform CPR on Jordan Neely. I bet you the Marine knows how to do CPR, and I bet if you asked him, he would have done it. All right? I don't know why this case hasn't been thrown out already. I can't believe it got to this point where they have to call and say, hey, this guy was absolutely crazy. All right? As a madman, you need to understand that it's okay to call a spade a spade. A madman a madman. All right? I'm not freaking out on trains or anything right now. I'm freaking out in my niece's room. That's all. Madman barricades himself in the house and nobody cares. You know? It's okay to be crazy in private. When you bring it in public, then you risk, having to be dealt with. And unfortunately, Marines, they may use more force than necessary. I'm not saying that Daniel Penny did. I think what he did was perfectly normal self-defense, and he probably saved somebody else. He may end up in jail for a long, long time because of it, but he probably saved somebody. Because Jordan Neely was saying things like, I don't care if I have to hurt somebody, I don't have to kill somebody. I'll do anything. So this farce of a trial, it's all about a white guy and a black guy. Black guy ended up dead because he's crazy. It's very similar to the whole George Floyd thing. Because it involves a white guy and a black guy dies. Must be racism. It couldn't be some crazy junkie. That couldn't be the case. It's got to be racism. So, prayers for Daniel Penny. Got your back, Marine. All right, let's get into some happier stories and we'll get out of here. 52. We're creeping in on the hour. Then I can get the hell out of this room. All right, so hair freezing competition canceled due to unusually uncooperative weather. An annual contest which people compete for the best frozen hairstyles has been called off. The official hair freezing contest is held at Eclipse Nordic Hot Springs in Yukon, Canada. Oh, Canada. All right, participants step into the naturally warm water and can make hair-raising shapes with their wet locks free. So they dip in the water, then they get out of it, and it will freeze. Satyam Jain, a spokesperson for the spring, said the contest was postponed this year from last winter. We took some photos last year, but that wasn't enough for a proper contest, he added. He said the contest usually kicks off anywhere between December and March as soon as the temperature drops below 20 Celsius or lower, 4 degrees, minus 4 Fahrenheit. I do believe climate change is obviously a fact. Anyway, the colder it is, the faster the freezing effect. Obviously, the weather matters. It has to be cold enough outside for you. Like, you dip in the water and then you can, shape your hair and then it'll freeze. Canadians are nuts. You know what I mean? I love them. I like them. They make me laugh sometimes because they do stuff like this. Oh, my goodness. Oh, Canada. All right, let's talk about one more story. We got about 2 minutes left. This is great. We'll run out of here in a second. All right. Florida burglary victim arrested after police find drugs during the 911 response. Quote, should have hidden his cocaine. Yeah, probably a good idea. You know how it is. Oh, man, somebody robbed my place. I'm going to need a couple lines to chill out. Florida man was arrested last week after he was burglarized, and attacked in his home because the guy didn't take the drugs. Because he left his drugs in the open, according to Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd on Thursday. My name's Grady Judd. You sound like you're the sheriff of Polk County. Well, as a matter of fact, anyway, Judd, who posts a short morning briefing video on his Facebook page nearly every day, shared how 59-year-old victim Everett Brown ended up in jail himself after calling 911 for help. So what is he, the sheriff trying to make it big on social media? Brown, who lives in the frostproof area, is it really frostproof? Florida. Well, maybe. Has been harassed by a group of juveniles, according to Judd. But he didn't tell him where the cocaine was. One day, 14-year-old Philip Sutton IV allegedly kicked Brown's door in and hit him with a red broom handle. Does it matter that it's red? Prompting Brown to call 911. Why is that detail in there? Does it matter if the broom handle is red? His weakness is the color red. While Polk County deputies were investigating and processing the crime scene inside Brown's home, they came across cocaine in plain view, quote unquote. Sutton, who has allegedly confessed to the crime, was arrested at the scene. Judge said both burglary and battery charges are felonies. Brown was also charged with the possession of cocaine and drug paraphernalia. He was booked into jail on November 5th and released on November 9th after posting a $5,000 bond. Yeah, possession of cocaine, that's just a misdemeanor, right? Probably, right? That's not a felony. Unless it's a large amount, yeah. So, I mean, I guess in the end, they caught the guy that beat him up. They got the real crime. It would suck if this is like, oh, you have cocaine? Why do we come here again? Who cares? Let's take this junkie to jail, Anyway, Mr. Everett didn't deserve to have his home broken into and be battered by this hooligan. This is a quote. But he should have hidden his cocaine before dialing 911. He could have hidden it after he dialed 911. How long do you think they'll be till they're here? All right. Oh, we're over the time already. I could walk out any minute. Let's do the outro. I'll suffer. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I would appreciate that very much. You can also send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. And if you become a patron, we may have some treats for you after the new year. At Twitter, you can follow me at DNALATSEW. That's the word wasteland, spelled backwards on Twitter. You can also go to Facebook, Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook, and at SLRobbins13 on the Instagrams. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.